I know this is one of the best weeks of our lives here. We come here and we see everybody we know, but also, be part of the event. So who knows what Cambridge have in store for next year? I'm curious, but it's going to be hard to beat. So, but so far so good.
Oh, Dan.
If you want to see a masterclass in how to build a sport and a stunning lesson in how to lose your grip on it, you only need to look at one name from this past week: Caitlin Clark. What happened on a sunny golf course in Florida wasn't just a celebrity appearance. It was a seismic event that sent shockwaves through the entire world of professional sports, and it exposed a divide so deep it might never be repaired. On one side, you had the LPGA, a tour that saw a comet passing by and jumped on for the ride of its life. And on the other, thousands of miles away, was the WNBA, an organization that had that same comet in its grasp for an entire season, and according to many, tried to dim its light.
Honestly, just got so triggered by Caitlin Clark's golf debut, and it is no fault of hers that I got upset. It is the fault of the WNBA, because the LPGA just did everything that the WNBA should have been doing this season. They did it all correct in literally one day.
The story of Caitlin Clark's golf debut is a story of a star being celebrated, and the story of a league that might be kicking itself for not doing the very same thing. And by the end of this, you'll see exactly why this single day of golf could spell the beginning of a revolution. Make sure you stick around, because the fallout is still happening, and if you're as fascinated by this power struggle as I am, hit that like button and let's dive in. It all looked so calm on the surface. The pristine fairways, the polite applause, the Florida sun beating down on a charity pro-am. But underneath that postcard perfect scene, something historic was brewing. This wasn't just another celebrity appearance. It was a cultural crossing of streams, a moment where the established walls between sports began to tremble.
LPGA understand what's great for business. Not what's good for business, what's great. It'd be nice if the WNBA could get with the program. It'd be nice if you didn't allow your greatest asset to get beat up and hacked and fouled 94 feet and be targeted since day one of stepping into the league. It'd be nice. It'd be smart. You'd be better off. But you guys are going to do what you want to do.
Caitlin Clark, the basketball phenom, the rookie who had just redefined interest in the WNBA, was stepping onto the tee box in a different world altogether, and the world was watching. You could feel the buzz in the air, a different kind of electricity than a basketball arena. This was a curated, almost reverent anticipation, mixed with raw curiosity. Could she actually do it? The crowd was already 10 rows deep just to catch a glimpse of her practice swing, a testament to a draw that transcended sport-specific fandom. Cameras were everywhere, their lenses focused not just on the action, but on the reactions of the golfing elite who had stopped their own routines to witness this moment. The Golf Channel, in an almost unprecedented move for a pro-am, went live mid-round just to follow her every shot, treating her round with the significance of a major championship leader.
That could do for their sport. They understand that let's say 1,000 new eyeballs, 10,000 new eyeballs show up. If only they could get a fraction of those new eyeballs to become fans, they understand that's a win. They understand that that's a bonus. They understand that's not the opportunity that comes across them every single day. So they need to capitalize on this moment. We also had the speaking engagement that Caitlin Clark took part in last season. I'm assuming we're going to run it all back. We're going to have the speaking engagement, the panel.
This was no casual round of golf. This was an event. And then she hit it. That sound, that perfect, crisp, explosive crack of the ball, echoed across the course. It was a sound that signaled more than just a good shot. It signaled a shift in the very atmosphere. It was a sound of validation, of surprise, and a narrative being rewritten in real time. Legends took notice. Tiger Woods, watching from behind the ropes, could only shake his head in what looked like stunned admiration, a silent nod from one generational talent to another. Nelly Korda, the top female golfer on the planet, stopped her own preparation to watch, a smile spreading across her face, a welcome that spoke volumes more than any press release ever could.
Bringing all these eyeballs and, the Caitlin Clark effect that we talk about, viewership, money, all of those things. All of the people who were shouting this for the entire WNBA season, this is an instance where we are proved correct. You see her at this event, you see the kind of noise that this is making, you see that this is trending on social media, you see that SportsCenter, Bleacher Report, all of these places, every media outlet is covering this, and you don't say anything. That's what we were talking about this whole season. We were correct. The fans that were saying that the WNBA seems to be trying to quiet the noise of Caitlin Clark, not letting her shine to her full ability, and not, in turn, not helping your own players in the league, we were right. And this event proved it, because the LPGA did literally everything correct. They capitalized on the moment. They found a way to put it on television. They allowed people to be there. Caitlin was signing autographs. They put their best golf.
Within minutes, the internet felt the tremor. Hashtags like Caitlin Clark and golf exploded, trending worldwide, not just in sports circles, but in mainstream pop culture discourse. Ticket sales for the LPGA event spiked by over 100% in mere hours, a quantifiable metric of her immense pulling power. Their official websites, overwhelmed by the traffic of fans and curious onlookers trying to get a piece of the action, crashed under the digital weight of her influence. And for the first time ever, the sport of golf was out-trending the sport of basketball. This was a Caitlin Clark effect, raw and undiluted. It was happening in real time, proving that her appeal wasn't confined to hardwood, but was a force of nature that could electrify any platform it touched.
So amazing. She's so sweet, so nice. It was nice to kind of get to spend some time with her. We've messaged a little on Instagram beforehand, but to get to spend some time with her and to see the influence that she has on people, bringing people out here, and to see how.
But to understand the true weight of that moment on the golf course, you have to rewind the tape. You have to look back at the season that made Caitlin Clark a household name, but also a target. When Clark entered the WNBA, she didn't just arrive as a player. She arrived as a phenomenon, a tidal wave of new energy, new fans, and unprecedented financial interest. She was their biggest name, their biggest draw. The single reason arenas that were usually half empty were suddenly selling out, with fans wearing her Indiana Fever jersey who had never watched a WNBA game before in their lives. She carried the league's visibility on her shoulders, breaking viewership records from her very first game, turning national broadcasts into must-see television, and forcing sports networks to reshuffle their primetime schedules. She was by every metric the greatest asset the WNBA had seen in a generation. And yet, a narrative began to build, one that was echoed by fans and analysts all season long. Instead of being celebrated universally, she was targeted on the court with a level of physicality that many argued crossed the line into something else entirely. A baptism by fire that seemed less about competitive basketball and more about sending a message. She was fouled hard, hacked, and knocked down repeatedly in plays that often had little to do with basketball and everything to do with testing her resilience. Off the court, the celebration felt muted, almost hesitant. Her talent was called overhyped by some veterans, who publicly questioned whether the attention was deserved. Her fans were sometimes told to calm down, to know their place, that they weren't real fans of the league.
They actually had odds that, she was like third or fourth in the betting odds to be MVP of the WNBA. That's such a slap in the face to every WNBA.
There was a sense, a pervasive feeling, that the league itself was uncomfortable with the sheer magnitude of her stardom, that it was trying to quiet the noise around her to maintain a certain status quo and protect a pre-existing ecosystem. She was a golden goose, but it seemed like the league was hesitant to even acknowledge she was laying golden eggs, for fear of upsetting the other chickens in the coop. This created a frustrating paradox for viewers. They were watching a league experience its most profitable and visible season ever, seemingly in spite of itself, all while the engine of that growth was being treated as a controversial figure. Meanwhile, back in Florida, the LPGA was demonstrating exactly what you do when a golden goose lands in your lap. They understood the assignment in a way that seemed to elude the WNBA for months, executing a masterclass in modern sports marketing and star management. The tour didn't just let Caitlin Clark show up. They built the entire stage for her, recognizing that her presence was not a distraction, but the main event. They ensured the event was televised, that media access was plentiful, that the moment was captured and amplified across every social media platform and sports news outlet imaginable.
Ever play this game, it's super fun and special for me. Like, I'm a fan of both of them, but a fan of, all the women on this tour. I think it's absolutely incredible. So
they paired her with their biggest star, Nelly Korda, creating a dream team of women's sports, a powerful visual that symbolized unity and mutual respect between two athletic giants. They allowed the fans to get close, with Clark spending significant time signing autographs and interacting with the crowds, understanding that these personal connections are what transform casual observers into lifelong supporters. They saw 10,000 new eyeballs and didn't question their right to be there. They rolled out the red carpet, welcoming the invasion of basketball fans as a glorious opportunity for growth. The response from the golf world was overwhelmingly positive, a unified front of excitement. Nelly Korda herself gushed about Clark, saying, "It's so amazing. She's so sweet, so nice. To see the influence that she has on people, bringing people out here." This was a stark contrast to the environment Clark had just left, where her influence was often met with skepticism. The LPGA looked at Caitlin Clark and saw a tide that would lift all boats, a rising star whose success would bring new sponsors, greater media deals, and renewed public interest to every player on the tour. The implication was that the WNBA, for months, saw that same tide as a potential flood they needed to control, to manage, and to channel through their established systems, ultimately failing to harness its full, chaotic, and beautiful power. The fallout from this single day was both immediate and deeply embarrassing for the WNBA's leadership, creating a public relations quagmire that they are likely still struggling to navigate. Every major sports outlet, ESPN, Bleacher Report, SportsCenter, was leading with the story of Caitlin Clark breaking golf, a headline that inherently raised a pointed question. Why was her success in another sport generating more unified positive buzz than her entire rookie season in basketball? And in the center of that storm, at least in the narrative being built online, was WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. The original video we're basing this on described her face as showing pure panic as the numbers rolled in, and it's not hard to see why that image resonates, because the message being sent was unmistakable and brutal in its clarity. The one player she may have thought she could control, the one whose start in the league apparatus was seemingly designed to temper in the name of competitive balance or veteran respect, was now controlling the sports narrative from a completely different field, entirely outside of the WNBA's jurisdiction. Sponsors who have been watching the WNBA's boom were now seeing those same explosive numbers attached to the LPGA, forcing them to wonder which league truly held the key to the future of women's sports marketing. The whisper started almost instantly in league circles and on social media. Was this a PR nightmare? Or was it something far worse? A fundamental collapse of strategy? A failure to recognize and nurture a once-in-a-lifetime talent? Insiders speculated about tense emergency meetings, of sponsors demanding answers about the league's long-term vision, of ownership groups asking the one question no commissioner ever wants to hear. Did we just fumble the face of women's sports? This wasn't just about a bad news cycle. It was a moment that threatened to define her tenure and question the very strategic direction of the league under her leadership. This is where the story transcends Caitlin Clark and becomes about power in the modern athletic landscape. We are in a new era of athlete empowerment, a fundamental rewriting of the old rules where a league held all the cards and a player's identity was synonymous with their jersey. That model is crumbling in real time, replaced by a new reality where the individual can become an institution unto themselves. A star of Clark's magnitude is no longer beholden to a single league or a single sport. She is a brand, a content generator, a cultural force who operates in an economy of attention that values authenticity and market reach over traditional loyalty. If one platform doesn't allow her to shine, another one will eagerly. The LPGA proved that not as a charity case for a basketball player, but as a savvy business partner recognizing a mutual beneficial opportunity. This shift is powered by the digital age. Social media platforms allow athletes to build global followings independently, speaking directly to millions without a filter. Name, image, and likeness, nil, rules at collegiate level, which Clark herself mastered, trained a new generation to think of themselves as CEOs of their own careers from day one. When you've already built a multi-million-dollar personal brand before you even sign a professional contract, your relationship with the league is less about obedience and more about partnership. The question is no longer just what can you do for the league, but crucially, what can the league do for me and my brand? The WNBA's internal culture, some argue, seems stuck answering the first question, while the LPGA aggressively positioned itself to answer the second. They offer her a stage where she was appreciated not just for her potential on the court, but for her proven marketability, her immense influence, and her undeniable ability to draw a crowd and move economic indicators. They offered her freedom, the freedom to be a rookie in a new sport, to smile without criticism, to be the center of attention without apology. Meanwhile, many of her detractors in the WNBA ecosystem seem to offer her friction, a constant test of her worthiness, a narrative that her success was somehow a slight against the players who came before her. This is a revolutionary part that should have every sports executive paying close attention. This wasn't just about a basketball player playing golf. It was a live-action case study and an athlete taking full ownership of her own narrative. When one channel became noisy with static, she simply changed the station, and her audience followed her effortlessly. It was about finding a community that wanted to build that narrative with her, to amplify her joy and her curiosity, rather than a system that often seemed to operate in spite of her, attempting to humble a phenomenon that cannot and should not be humbled. The implications are staggering. We are moving toward a future where the most transcendent athletes will be multi-sport free agents for audience attention. A future where a league's health won't just be measured by TV deals, but by its ability to attract and collaborate with these sovereign brands. Leagues that cling to a controlling, old-school mindset will not just lose out on talent. They will become irrelevant, perceived as obstacles to progress rather than engines of it. The fans, the ultimate arbiters, have spoken clearly. Their comment sections were flooded with one unifying, devastating sentiment. The WNBA doesn't deserve her. That has to hurt on a profound level, because it might be true. And in this new era, if a league doesn't deserve its stars, those stars now have the power, more than ever before, to simply find a stage that does. So where does this leave us? Caitlin Clark is smiling under the Florida sun, having effortlessly dominated the sports news cycle without scoring a single basketball point. A powerful testament to the fact that her influence is no longer just about athletic performance, but about her status as a cultural icon. The LPGA is bathing in the afterglow of a massively successful event, having proven it knows how to capitalize on a moment with a level of strategic clarity that will be studied in sports business seminars for years to come. They didn't just host a golfer, they hosted a phenomenon and wisely got out of the way, allowing the resulting energy to benefit every player, sponsor, and fan associated with their tour. And the WNBA is left with a looming, uncomfortable offseason, facing a barrage of questions about its internal culture, its marketing strategies, and its very relationship with its brightest star. This is their moment of reckoning. The choices they make now, whether to double down on perceived insularity or to fundamentally rethink how they celebrate and protect their marketable assets, will define the league for the next decade. The lesson here is brutal in its simplicity, a wake-up call for every sports league overseeing generational talent. In today's world, you cannot stifle a star. The tools of the digital age have given them a megaphone and a direct line to their audience that bypasses traditional gatekeepers. You can only choose whether you will stand beside them in the spotlight, leveraging their glow to illuminate your entire organization, or be left behind in the shadow they cast, a relic of a time when the league was bigger than the player. The LPGA chose the spotlight, understanding that Clark's success was not a threat to their existing stars, but a rising tide that would lift every boat in the harbor. The argument, supported by the stark contrast of these two events, is that the WNBA, for one reason or another, often chose a shadow, perhaps fearing that one star's light would dim the others, only to discover that without it, the entire landscape grew darker. This story isn't just about a game. It's about a revolution in how we view athletes and how leagues must adapt or risk becoming irrelevant. It's a blueprint for the future of sports entertainment, where authenticity is currency and empowerment is the new business model. Caitlin Clark, from the basketball court to golf course, is proven to be truly unstoppable, not because she never misses a shot, but because she represents an idea that is increasingly irresistible fans, the power of an individual to transcend the confines of their system and redefine success on their own terms. Her journey is a message to every young athlete watching. You're not owned by your sport. You are its curator. And for the leagues, the message is even clearer. Your job is no longer to rule over talent, but to create an ecosystem where it can truly flourish. The ball is now in the WNBA's court. They can either learn from their rival's playbook, or they can watch as their most valuable player continues to make history for someone else. If you watch this entire story unfold and believe that this marks a turning point in the business of sports, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more content that goes beyond the headlines and digs into the real stories shaping the games we love. And let me know in the comments, do you think the WNBA failed Caitlin Clark by not fully embracing her stardom from day one? Or was the criticism overblown and the league was simply managing the difficult balance of a team sport? What should their first step be this offseason to repair the relationship? Let's have a conversation about it. Thanks for watching.